Hello everyone, welcome to another video on Metronic. In this video, we'll discuss with you the best practices to customize Metronic's theme to suit your project needs. So first off, you definitely need to purchase and download Metronic. And if you haven't already, we highly recommend that you watch our previous two videos, which is on installing Metronic on your computer, and also how to create your very first project. In this video, we will not go through those two in detail. What we'll go through is we will go through with you on how to navigate through Metronic's file structure and also basically give you a quick and also in-depth information on how Metronic is built. And we will also go through with you on the build tools, which is Metronic's build.json. And once all that is covered, we will then demonstrate to you how you can quickly and very easily add your own custom Sass or your own custom JS. So let's get into our video or our tutorial, which is to first install Metronic. So let's do that really quickly. Let's go into our tools folder and then open up our command prompt and install yarn. Okay, so whilst this is running, what we can do is let's have a look at Metronic's source folder. Before that, we will show you that once you download Metronic onto your machine and unzip it, you will see three main folders, which is our design, docs, and theme. In our design is basically where we keep our PSD and sketch files. Our docs is where we keep our official documentation. And theme is where we have three of our main theme packages. We have Angular, Classic, and Default. The Angular package is basically Metronic in an Angular framework. So if you can see here, if you are well versed in Angular, this will look familiar to you. Classic is basically Metronic, but without the build tools. So all the HTML, all the JS, all the CSS is already and pre-compiled and is ready to use. You just don't have the build tools functionality. And last but not least is our default package. And the default package is our most use package throughout based on all three packages that comes packed with Metronic as you purchase it. In the default package, this is where we have our highly powerful and flexible and also very customizable build tools. And what we mean by that is if you go into our tools, you'll find this file called build.json, and this is where Metronic really shines in terms of project customization. We'll get to that fairly shortly, but before we do that, let's look into what comes with Metronic in the source. In the source, we have our demo files, as you can see here. This is basically our demo source. It is not our demo files or demo sites, or basically not Metronic's demos yet, because we will first need to build Metronic. Okay, it looks like our yarn is done, so let's go ahead and type in Gulp build to build our demos. So the difference between our demo files and all these folders here is this is the demo HTML source. So if you look into it, you see the HTML files and the relevant folders that's necessary, and all the other demos will have its own layout HTML source. Now, to let you guys know that Metronic is a multi-demo concept theme. What that means is once you purchase and download Metronic, you will get multiple demos sharing the same components or sharing the same pages, the same elements and whatnot. And the difference between one demo to another is basically the layout. However, as you can see here, each demo within Metronic will have like different styles of an admin dashboard. So you have maybe a demo with a sidebar, or a demo with a top bar, or maybe some stylized demo headers, like stylized demo tabs, backgrounds, and so on. But the beauty with Medtronic is all these elements, all these small elements within Medtronic is fully compatible from one demo to another. So for example, we can grab this element with, or this widget here from demo 2 and put it into a demo 8 layout, and it will work perfectly fine. Each demo will also have its own layout style or layout theme, for example, and we'll get to that on how you can customize each of those demos as we get to it. Okay, our demo is built, so we can just minimize this for now. And let's resume our preview or our file structure on Metronic. So the demos, as mentioned, all our demos will have, or demo 2 and above will only have the layout, which is like the index or some parts of the dashboard. And demo 1 will have all the components, all the elements or the widgets, or even all our custom pages like the pricing wizards and whatnot. So all the source for everything within Metronic will be located in demo 1. Demo 2 and above is basically customizing, or just having the layout source, which you can then just copy and paste the source from demo 1 into your own layouts. In our assets folder, we have 4 main folders. We have our JS, media, Sass, and vendors. Our vendors is basically our third-party files, or our third-party plugins that Medtronic uses that does not come packed with Node, not like npm or yarn, or basically any package manager available out there. Since it's not included within those package managers, we include all these third-party assets or third-party vendor files in here, in this folder here, so that you can just use it as you see fit for your project. Also, Medtronic's plugins are fully licensed, so you do not have to worry about not having any rights to use these plugins once you purchase Medtronic. Alright, moving on to, let's look at media first. Our media is basically where we keep all our media files, which is images, SVGs, background images, anything that has to do with media comes into this folder. And in the JS folder, we have 2 main folders, which is the theme and the vendors. Now you may be wondering, why do we have vendors here and another vendors out here? Well, the vendor files within the JS files are custom Metronic JS code that we've built to customize or to extend the relevant or the specific plugins that is available within Metronic. For example, we are customizing the date picker, we're customizing, say, the time picker, or some data tables, or maybe the suite alert. So this is Metronic's own code on top of this plugin, and we will get into that in more detail and once we get into the build tool. In our theme, we have 3 main folders, which is our core, demos, and pages. Our core is where we keep all of our core JS files. Our core JS is mainly built using JavaScript, just pure JavaScript without any jQuery. This is to ensure that it's fully optimized for any projects out there in a and we did it this way is so that we can recreate Metronic into, and we built it in just pure vanilla JS or JavaScript, is mainly because it'll be a lot easier for you guys to integrate Metronic with, say, other JavaScript frameworks such as, say, React, Angular, or Vue, and so on. So this is not our core, our Metronic core JS files are not jQuery based, they are just pure JavaScript. Our pages is where we keep all of our Metronic page JavaScript, such as like our wizards or our data table, which is in our CRUD, forms, login, and so on. And our demos is where we keep all our individual demo JS files. So like we need to initialize our layout for demo 1, we have a specific JS for demo 1. Let's say it's demo 4, we have a specific JS for demo 4, or even specific media files within each demo as well. So similar with this structure, if you go into our Sass file, or Sass folder, we find 3 main folders as well, which is our Bootstrap, theme, and vendors. Now, vendors, similar with our JS, these are Medtronic or customized Medtronic Sass code that overrides the vendor files or the vendor libraries. It overrides, like for example, Bootstrap state picker or the select or say switch or the maps and so on. So all this will basically override the Bootstraps or any third-party vendors default Sass or CSS. And then we have the dedicated Bootstrap folder, and this is similar with the vendors. This specifically is done to customize Bootstrap because when you use Metronic, we notice that if you use Bootstrap with Metronic or if you use Bootstrap with any other project, there is certain limitations with Bootstrap. So we added a few like helper classes or even extend the certain buttons so that it's a lot easier for you to use Bootstrap within Metronic. And then it comes to our theme. Again, we have our 3 main folders, which is our core, demos, and pages. Our core is where we keep all of Metronic's core Sass files. So we have our base, our general, our layouts, or maybe our typography and whatnot. And in pages, we have similar with our JS folders as well. This is our Sass, where we have our Sass files for our wizards, pricing, and any other custom pages that Metronic has. Within our demos is where you find all of our demo Sass. So each demo, if you have a look, each demo has a very unique look and feel. So because it has a unique look and feel, it will need its own Sass skin or Sass configuration on top of our core. So in demo 1, for example, you can see this is our Sass configuration. We configured the aside or the base, even the content, the header and footer. And if you go to say demo 4, you still find its own Sass files to customize or to create a very unique layout for demo 4 or for any other demo within Metronic. Alright, so that is basically the gist of how Metronic's assets folder looks like. So all this is basically within the default package, the default, and then source. So this, what we are doing here is we are looking through Metronic's source file structure. So if you were to do any customizations, which we will demo later in this video, is you'll be customizing within the source folder. So we ran the Gulp build to build our demo. So if you look into our dist folder, which is where our main demo sits, you see similar files folder structure, but instead of JS media, Sass, and vendors, you get CSS, which is a pre-compiled CSS. Okay, so let's have a look in our tools. In our tools, we have our Gulp, Gulp is basically our task runner. We basically just automates the compilation or the minification or say the bundling functionality within Metronic's build tool. So that's Gulp, and then we have our Gulp file, our package.json, and yarn log appears when you run yarn. Our package.json just lists all of our libraries, third-party libraries that we need for Metronic. And gulp.js is basically how we initialize, or basically to do a specific task that we require Gulp to do. And node modules is where we where all the third-party libraries gets placed in after you run yarn. But the most important thing is our build.json. So let's have a look at build.json, which is Metronic's build tool within our IDE. So let's go to theme, default, tools, and build.json. So as you can see here, it's a very simple but very long JSON file. So the first two fields or first two parameters is just the name and version of Metronic, and then comes the config and build. The config parameter is where we basically configure Metronic. Configure Metronic in the sense that what do we want to compile, or what do we want to compile and deploy Metronic, in the sense that if you want to only compile demo 3 or demo 4, all we have to do here is type in demo 1, 2, or so on. Let's say demo 1, and then what happens here is once you run Gulp, you will just compile and deploy demo 1's assets into the destination path. At the moment, the destination path is the default path, and if you've seen the previous video, which is how you can kickstart your very first project, is you can replace this path with your project's assets folder. Alright, so moving on onto the list of parameters within the configuration. The next will be debug. What debug does is, if you set it to true, when you run Gulp, it just gives you additional notes in the command prompt, so that you can see what exactly is being compiled as it goes. And then comes to the compile RTL. What RTL means is a right to left configuration for CSS or styling, and also for certain JavaScript plugins or files. What it does is, if you set or enable true here, what Metronic will do is it will just compile an RTL version, or right to left version, of the entire assets, all your assets that you're deploying to your assets folder. If you set it to false, then you're just skipping this part. Then we also have a skip parameter. What this does is we're just defining that all these plugins within Metronic does not need to have an RTL version. Reason for that is most of these plugins don't really have any difference when it comes to left to right or right to left, such as like icons. It doesn't really matter whether you're reading left to right or right to left, it still comes out the same. So what we're doing here is we're just skipping all these plugins so that we don't compile it and don't deploy it, just to ensure that we do not bloat your project assets folder, and also to optimize Metronic's assets deployment a lot better. Next comes this 4 parameters here, which is pretty self-explanatory. If you set JS uglify to true, it will just uglify your JS files. Same goes with CSS minify. It either minifies your CSS or not. Same goes with JS source maps or CSS source maps. Next comes our path parameter, which is where we declare our source path, which is this, and where our node modules path are. This is very important if, say, you modified this path to something else and there is no asset source within that path that you set, Metronic will not compile. Similar with the node modules. However, if you have node modules stored somewhere else, or if you move the assets folder somewhere else, the source assets folder somewhere else, you then need to replace these two paths to where it's supposed to be. Next come our demo API URL. What this does is, this is mainly for Metronic's demos. You don't really need to worry much about it. It's mainly for like certain pages within Metronic that require some server-side response, such as our data tables, where we need to communicate with our own servers to return certain data table values. So this is just to set where do we grab those values. That's about it. And then next is our other most important parameter within our config, which is our destination path. Our destination path is, as mentioned in previous videos, is just to set where you want to compile and deploy Metronic assets to. If you set this path to your project's assets folder, then once you run Gulp, it will then compile all of Metronic's assets into your project folder instead of Metronic's default source folder. Oh, sorry, our default destination folder, which is, if we can have a look, is within our destination, which is this folder right here. If you set it to your project folder, then it will then push into your project folder. We will get into that in a little more detail later when we create or look through our build parameter. But if you watched our previous video, which is the kickstart your very first project, you will fully understand what this does. Moving on to our build. In our build, we have three main parameters, which is our vendors, demos, and media. Let's go through media first. What media is, it's just configuring Metronic so that it will grab all the media files from our source media folder and then place it in your assets folder. So it's just moving the images or the media files from Metronic source to your project's assets folder. So basically, if you have a look at the assets or source assets, media, so it's just moving all these files and folders into the destination assets. So that's about media. Next comes vendors and demos. Now the difference between vendors and demos is, vendors, as we've seen in our folder structure, is vendors are our third-party libraries that Metronic uses. So if you have a look into our vendors, we have base and custom vendors. And then in base, we have mandatory and optional libraries. Mandatory libraries are basically vendor libraries that is mandatory to be included within Metronic. And what this does is, it just lists down all the libraries, third-party libraries, and what we're going to do here is we are going to bundle all these JS files up into a single vendors.bundle.js file. So instead of including one by one like the old-fashioned way, what it is doing is it's grabbing jQuery, Popper, Bootstrap Min, and all this, putting all this into vendors.bundle. However, it is not only bundling the mandatory JS files, it is bundling all the optional JS files, which you can see here, and also it is bundling the CSS files. All the CSS files will be bundled into vendors.bundle.css, and any images, any fonts that the libraries require will be moved to their own individual folders right here. Now coming to the optional, as mentioned, the mandatory libraries are mandatory for Metronic to run. Without any one of this, Metronic will not run properly. However, the optional libraries are, as it is labeled, optional. If your project does not require, say, a date picker, for example, you do not need to include this library into your bundle. So you're free to just remove any one of this third-party plugin from your project's bundle file. So what do we mean by bundling all of our vendor libraries? When we bundle all this is, if you look at our, let's say, our destination and our assets and our vendors, and we go into, let's see where it's being bundled to, vendors global. Let's go to global and vendors bundle.js. So if we look at our bundle, the first thing that's being bundled is our jQuery file. So the first thing we see is our jQuery, and the one next right after it is our popper.js. So probably if you scroll down a little bit, and we need to see where jQuery ends. All right, let's just do a quick search. Yep, this is where jQuery ends, and this is where popper starts. So if we have a look at where the path is, where we are grabbing the source, is we're getting it from node modules jQuery dist jQuery.js. So we can always have a look in our node modules, and we find for jQuery, which P H I J is right here, jQuery right here, this, and say this one. So as you can see, it's the exact same as our very first parts of our bundle. Say this and this is exactly the same. The next one we are bundling up is the popper. So if we look at the find for popper here, go to dist and look for popper.js. We see the very big comment to introduce popper, and also the first line, which is var is browser. So we scroll down, or we can just do a quick search on popper again. You can see this is popper's JS files bundled into a single file called vendors.bundle. So similar with CSS. So if you have, the first thing we have here is the perfect scroll bar. So let's have a look at our perfect scroll bar, which is here. Let's go to Gulp.js. We're looking at CSS, which is this one. So the first thing we see is .ps, or basically container style.ps. So if you have a look at our vendor.css or vendors bundle.css, the first thing you see is .ps. It is exactly the same as the perfect scroll. And then if you have a look at what's our next CSS file, which is under our optional, which is our tether. So if you look at our vendor bundle, we scroll down a little bit, we should find, this is date picker already, so tether should be, let's have just look for tether. Yep, so tether's right here. If we look for tether here, this CSS and the very first this one will be this class tether element after. If you look at our bundle, it's exactly the same. So this is basically the concept of how Metronic's build tool works. It lists down, or basically indexes all the third-party libraries or vendor libraries that we need. Whether it's mandatory or optional, you just grab all this and bundle all this up together into a single bundle file called vendors.bundle.js or bundle.css. This is our base vendor files, and then comes our custom vendor files. So all these custom vendor files are third-party libraries that Medtronic uses. However, we do not use this like globally. We use this probably ad hoc on certain pages only. So for example, the full calendar will only be used at maybe on the dashboard or a few other pages within Metronic. And since it's only being used for certain a small number of pages, and we also have reviewed and noticed that all these custom vendor libraries are relatively large in file size. So we do not want to again overbloat the core or the base vendor file or the vendor bundle. So what we do is each of our custom vendor library has its own source list or source parameter and its own bundle parameter. So what this does is it will just bundle all this up into its own individual either style script of images into its own bundle file. And then once you want to use this, like say you want to use jQuery UI within your project, all you have to do is you just need to include this bundle. So if you have a look at say our jQuery float, we have like a lot of JS files that we need to bundle up into a single JS bundle so that we do not need to include so many files. Similarly with our data tables, we are bundling all our styles and all our JS into just 2 files. So instead of including so many lines of include files, you just need to include these 2 and you're good to go. So the concept behind this is within our base, all our base is basically Metronic's global vendor bundle file. And then within our customs is individual individual bundle files for specific vendors. And you can then use the vendor file as and when you need within your project. So next comes our demos parameter. Now, the difference between vendors and demos is vendors are basically third-party plugins, and demos controls Metronic's demos. So for example, for our demo 1, we have base, skin, pages. So what it does is our base will then include our style.sass, our core JS, our core base JS, and all our basically Metronic's core JS files, and also the demo JS file. And then what it does is it bundles all this up into a scripts.bundle and bundles the styles into style.bundle. And then we have also in demo 1 and only in demo 1 for now is a skins parameter. What this does is in demo 1 we have multiple skin types. For example, like in demo 1 you can actually change the entire like aside menu from the dark gray color or dark color to say a light color or even a brand color. So those are considered skin types. So it just changes, like for example, we have brand, and then we have like this customized aside with different types of skin colors. And within the pages, we have slightly different type of setup, where what it does is the pages or each demo within Metronic will use the custom pages from demo 1, and then each demo will have its own styling configuration which overrides the core configuration of that page. What I mean by page is, if you recall what we went through in our source, if you go to demo 1, we have custom and then we have pages. So all these are pages within Metronic, and all these pages can be used for all of our demos. And if you have a look at our demos, some demos may need a different type of look and feel for a specific page. For example, maybe the wizard. For wizard, maybe the main colors will be, say, the brand color, or maybe a bit of purple, a bit of blue. And then if you go to another demo file or demo like this, on like a demo 7, we need to use like a lot more light colors, or even different spacing or different paddings and margins. So what this does is it then overrides the pages layout or pages style with the demo's theme. And what it does is it then just outputs into its own demo page or demo folder. So you have a look at this page, or this demo 1 is then Now compiling and distributing to CSS demo1 pages. So let's have a look at that. Let's close out node modules, we don't need that anymore. Assets, and then go to our demo1, and then go to pages. As you can see, our pages here is similar with our pages within demo1. However, if you look at demo2, it also has its own styling for each page. So if you go to demo2, which is down here, go to pages, you see the very similar page structure from our demo1. So this is our source. You can hear it's our source, and this is our destination. This is our actual demo. So within, like in our error page, we have its own CSS files that is customized for demo2, and in this one we have CSS that's customized for demo1. So that is how these pages work for each demo. Each demo has exactly the same way of compiling its own or basically integrating its own theme to the core element. So that's basically it on the build tool for Metronic. So what we can do here is we're going to demonstrate to you how you can actually add your own custom Sass or custom JS. So to do that, let's go into our project. So within our project, let's create a new project folder called, say, my app. And in our app, let's create our assets folder. And as mentioned in our previous videos, we highly recommend that you copy the default theme or default package from Metronic into your project folder so that you can move back and forth between your project and Metronic source quickly and easily. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, and then just copy this into our project folder. And once it's done, we'll open it up with our IDE and get cracking. Alright, we've done copying. So let's open this folder within our IDE. Open folder and go to our this and go to my app and open this up. So first things first is let's add our own custom JS file. To do that is we go to our source, and before we do that, let's populate our assets folder. So let's go to my app, let's go to our defaults, tools, and type in cmd here. Now before we run Gulp on this, before we run Gulp, we need to customize our build tool. So let's have a look at our project. Let's say, alright, you know what? Let's just compile demo1. So we type here demo1 because we only want to compile demo1, and here we want to put in our path. Let's go ahead and do that and select our tools. Nope, go here, go to our project, go to our assets, and this is our path that we need. Copy that, paste it here, and put the slashes around. Save our build tool, and then run Gulp. So as you can see right here, our assets folder is opened, but there's nothing in there. So let's run Gulp. So as going, you will see the assets get built, just like that. So it's done. If we have a look at our CSS, we have only demo1 compiled. We don't have any other demos. Okay, so now that our assets is populated, let's go ahead and create our very first custom Sass file. Since we're using demo1, we have to go into our source and then demo1. Our source assets, Sass, and then theme, and then we need to look for our demo 1. So this is where our demo sits. What we can do is, if you look into our main Sass style.sass, sorry, you click on this, you see that it is including the main config file, Bootstrap files, and then our own custom Bootstrap extension, and then our other cores, and comes our demo configuration and demo layouts. So in order for us to add a custom Sass, like our own Sass for our own project, we need to add it at the very bottom of this Sass style.sass, simply because we need our project custom style to override all of Metronic's styles. So what we can do here is very easily just add an import and then put the path to our Sass. So since we don't have a Sass creator yet, let's create one now. Within demo 1, let's create a new folder and call it, say, my custom Sass. And then within our my custom Sass, let's create a new file called, say, my Sass, and then save it as my-sass.sass. And then in here, what we can do is we can just add our own custom styles as we want. So we can just call it my custom Sass, and then say we are changing the background color to, say, white, for example. So if we have a look at our build tool and look into our demo, and we look in our demo 1 configuration, what we're doing is we are going to compile all of basically the style.sass into style bundle.sass. So if I have a look at our CSS demo 1, you see our style.bundle.css. This is our project's assets folder. So if you double click that, or you open that up, you can see here this is all of Metronic's demo 1 styles. And if you scroll all the way down, this is where it ends. So if we are adding our own style sheet into here, let's just add it in. Let's call it. Let's call my custom / my Sass. Okay, so we're adding our style sheet at the very bottom. Therefore, it should be bundled up into our style bundle file at the very bottom. So let's go ahead and run Gulp to compile it and deploy it. So let's run Gulp again. Within our app, you can see this is our app, our projects folder, and run that. You can see that all of our files get refreshed, and it's done. If you look at our style.bundle, just click on it, and you see our custom Sass included. So if you want to add your own custom Sass, you can just add your own custom Sass folder and then just dump in all the Sass files that you need, and then all you do is just include it right here. In fact, if you have like a large project and you want to have multiple Sass or your own custom Sass file structure, like maybe you have a core folder or a pages folder or element folder, for example, you can always add your own Sass import file and then import all of your Sass files and then just include your Sass import file right here. So this concept is similar with our JS files. So if you want to create our own JS file, it's also very simple. All we have to do is go to our JS folder, go to our theme, and go to demos, and go to demo 1, because we are adding demo 1, or we are basically working on demo 1. So if, as you can see in our build tool, what we're doing, or what Medtronic is doing, is grabbing every folder and every file within theme or JS theme demos demo 1 and then all the folders and files. So everything and anything you add within demo1 will get compiled into our scripts.bundle. So let's have a look at our layout.js. We see it is our KT layout. When we scroll all the way to the bottom, we see our initialize function. So if we look at our assets, this is our assets, our project assets, and go to JS demo1 and then our scripts bundle, because if you have a look, it's going to our scripts bundle. Double click that, you see the exact same, which is our KT app. So it's not exactly the same. What I mean is adding this, and this. So at the very bottom of our scripts.bundle should be the exact same init layout function. So what do we want to do? We want to add stuff underneath it, right? So what we can do is we can just create our own JS file right here, and we can just add a simple, say, document ready function, and we save this as maybe my script.js, and then in here we can just put an alert, say hello, and since we have a script bundle here, let's go ahead and compile our script.js into our bundle. So see, as you can see, it's refreshing or recompiling or rebuilding the entire assets folder. You can click on this, and we see our script right at the bottom. This is a very good example on how you can fully customize Metronic to whatever you want, and override or add your own custom Sass, custom JS, as and when, and then get your own code included into Metronic's bundle files, so that you do not need to re-include or add more include files into your HTML source. This is a very good way for you to further optimize your code, or further optimize the page ranking within your project, and that's pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you found this video informative. So please, if you liked this video, please click on the like button. It will really help us out. And also please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that the next time we release our next video, you get an update. Also, please follow our social media, such as our Twitter and Facebook. Links will be in the description below. And good luck with your projects, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.